Hi, nice to meet you. So my name is Brandon. I'm with Gaye Magazine, where we report on all things from the Black LGBTQ plus experience. It is my pleasure in welcoming Colman Domingo. Now, Colman Domingo plays the lead titular role in Netflix's new movie, Rustin, a historical drama about activist Bayard Rustin, who, as a Black gay man, organized the March on Washington in 1963 and was a close friend and mentor to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you again for having me. So
Good to be
this was
here.
a nagging question. So at the end of the film, we didn't get to see Rustin speak at the March on Washington. Was there a particular reason for that?
No, actually, we filmed it. We filmed the part where he does speak, actually, because it's like, it's documented that he gives the lists of demands at the
Right.
end of the speech.
The executive director of the March on Washington, the man who organized this whole thing, Mr. Bayard Rustin. Ladies and gentlemen, the first demand is that we have effective civil rights legislation, no compromise, no filibuster, and that it includes public accommodation, decent housing, integrated education, FAPC, and the right to vote. What do you say?
So we actually filmed it. There was a cut of the film that actually had that. But I think that my director George C. Wolfe wanted to streamline the event.
Okay.
Even the March on Washington, I know that the cut turned into just a point of view about from Rustin. We
Right.
filmed a lot of the March on Washington, but I think at the end of the day we thought, oh, there's been other. You can watch the documentary on
Right.
that if you like, but let's just stay with the man. So if it wasn't a point of view focused on the man of our central character by Rustin, I think that's what it went.
So completely from Rustin's perspective, the March on
Yes,
Washington. Okay.
yes, yes.
So I know this is one of your first lead roles in a feature film. How did that come into play with you starring as Rustin, and what was that experience like as
Well,
lead?
it was the good fortune that I had that I was given by George C. Wolfe, legendary director who I worked with on Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He
Hmm.
apparently maybe I made a great impression in his mind, hopefully, or
Hmm.
was nagging him that he was trying to find out who had the capacity to live and breathe and interrogate by Rustin, who
Hmm.
would take it on as part of them as a mission. And he and the team believed it was me. And when I got the role, I was excited but also terrified, because then you also know it's a great responsibility, especially knowing that LGBTQIA characters are usually on the fringe of a story,
Right.
not in the center. And
Mhm.
such a complex man like Rustin, I wanted to make sure that I did all that I could to tell his story in such a complex way. I didn't want to leave anything behind. I didn't want to leave behind his wit, his intelligence, his sexuality, his charm, his being a little messy. All of
Mhm.
it is interesting. And I think that makes it a full character. And I feel like if I did my job well, there'll be many more stories with us in the center. So I don't take it lightly that for Rustin to be in the center and for me to be in the center is like such a gift, truly a gift, intersection of many gifts.
Mhm. You did an excellent job. Definitely felt the energy through the screen. I wanted to know what was that process like forming and conveying the personality and character of Rustin?
Well, the first thing is Rustin. If anyone looks at any of his, there's some video footage of by Rustin in interviews and debates, you name it, and he's such a character. First of all, he has this mid-Atlantic standard accent. You're like, what is that accent? He grew up in
Mhm.
Westchester. And I found out from one of his friends that he created that accent. He
Oh,
created
wow.
it to, he created himself to, he was already such a formidable person. He was just like, from being an athlete to a conscientious objector, part of the wars resistors leagues, a young communist. He played the lute. He sang Elizabethan love songs. This brother was like no other, right? So there was no blueprint for him. So I love researching and distilling all of that down into my body and making physical choices, vocal choices that were honoring him, but not mimicking him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like even he has a tenor singing voice and I have a baritone. So I wanted to make vocally closer to mine. That's what George C. Wolfe, my director, wanted. He was like, we have to bring that part of yourself into it as well, which is cool. So that's how we created the character of Bayard, which is different than the way I move through space and the way I speak. You know, also the prosthetics. You know, he had 2 teeth knocked out many years before, and it was important to have that. And then also important to know that he wore it as a badge of honor. He smiled bright and wide. I thought, and we always joked, I'm like, I love that he's still sitting up there at a bar flirting with men and pulling them too, with a full teeth missing.
The gap out.
that tells you a lot about a person. You're like, he still had confidence. He was like, confidence is here, not just here. Yeah.
In the 60s too. In the 60s too.
In the 60s, exactly. How brave was that guy? So yeah, I love finding out all of that to create a very complex character.
It sounds like he created himself in his own image for sure.
That's exactly what he did, because it's like, again, it was like the world wasn't ready for him. The world had no real spaces for him. So he had to create his space and really be defiant when he walked into rooms. It's like, you cannot deny me because I have knowledge, I have power, I am smart, and I own my space.
Owning your power, yeah.
Yes, he owns his power.
Thank you so much for your time. Gaye Magazine is so grateful for this. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. Thank you.